Hey guys, and welcome back to my channel. If you're new here, my name's Amber, and I'm going to teach you how to sew. So first, I just want to say thank you guys so much for coming back and tuning in this Friday. Thank you to my new subscribers. I see you all. Ken, I see your comment, bro. Menswear, the hoodies, they are coming soon to my personal clothing brand, Elena Marie. So just be patient, okay? But we're not here to talk about that today. We're here to talk about what you need when you are just starting out as a sewist or you're trying to learn how to sew and all the supplies that you will need to just get you started. Okay, this is a basic overview. But first, I want to say thank you to the rest of my new subscribers. Shout out to Iman, Haula, Sissy, Aaliyah, Nicole. Am I missing anybody? If I missed you, just know I have much love for you guys, showing support and tuning into me every week. So I hope that you will. Did I miss anybody? Don't take it personal. I love you guys, okay? Anyways, let's get into it. So, let me pull out my notebook because you guys know I'm a nerd. What you will need, number one, hello, is a sewing machine, okay? As I mentioned in my previous video, I use the domestic machine, okay? There's domestic machines and there's industrial machines. You may have seen familiar brands such as Juki or Konso machines. We use those at my day job. They handle much more thick, strong, materials and things like that. They also work perfectly fine on clothes, but I just don't have one right now. I don't have the space for it. And they're very, very expensive for a good one. And the table and the setup, the whole 9 yards. So moving along. So, like we stated, there are two different types of machines, your domestic and industrials. Now, if you're just starting out, more than likely you're going to get a domestic machine. I use the Brother XR9550. I love my machine, but I will say this. She sews beautifully, whatever. But on thick layers of denim, or multiple layers of thick fabric, like a cargo or something like that, it's a bit tricky, okay? If you plan to do streetwear, or make a lot of jeans, jean jackets, denim jackets, thick jackets, things like that, and not just t-shirts and flowy, silky stuff, you might want to get a Singer heavy duty machine or maybe even a Viking machine. Okay, I think they're a little bit on the lower end as far as pricing versus the Singer heavy duty, but the Singer heavy duty machine, chef's kiss when it comes to being a domestic machine and also able to handle heavy fabrics. Thread. Yeah, you're going to need a bunch of threads, okay? You're not going to be able to sew a darn thing together without having thread. These are mine. I have them separated. Try to, anyway. Warm colors and cool colors, so we can have a little bit of organization here. Needles. As you can see, I'm a Schmetz girl. This is my preferred type of needle for the Brother machine that I have. This is a diagram I made recently on how to tell the difference in different type of needles because they do have color coding and those colors mean something. So does the location of the color on the needle. I'll go into a more detailed video for this later for you guys in the future. So for now, we're going to keep it moving. So far, we have our sewing machine, thread, needles. Okay. Next, pins. You cannot hold the fabric together with nothing, so pins are going to be a necessity, not optional when you're buying supplies for your sewing journey. These are optional, however. These are called binder clips. Very useful for holding layers of fabric together in a different manière or way than the pins do. However, if you're just starting out, I would recommend just going with the pins. They're a little bit more cost efficient and they're more useful, okay? Not more useful, but they're more important than the binder clips. At least in the beginning, that's my opinion, okay? Somebody else might think something different. And then also, you can use a pin cushion to hold your pins, but I recommend getting a magnetic pin holder so that way you can just kind of toss them in there while you're sewing and they'll stick in there. Fabric scissors, non-negotiable necessity, okay? These are going to be essential when cutting out your fabric and your patterns to create your clothes, create your visions, put your dreams together, your dream wardrobe. Do not use these on paper, okay? Do not use them on paper. Do not use them on anything other than fabric because you will regret it. You will make them dull. They will be almost useless after that. Well, you just don't want to do that, okay? You're going to be mad at yourself. Ask me how I know that. I hate to be the bearer of bad news, but when you're just getting started sewing, you're going to make mistakes, okay? It's bound to happen. Like you're definitely going to sew an armhole sleeve to the neck at least once in your lifetime. So it's very, very important to have seam rippers or la douceur in order to fix your mistakes.
Right here, I am struggling to put my thread into the eye of the needle so I can sew a quick straight stitch for you guys and show you how one would use your classic seam ripper. Okay, so normally you want to start by popping every other stitch or every stitch if you have the patience, and then gently separating your fabric to fix your mistake.
Okay. Another essential tool you will need, nippers. Fabric nippers, they can look like this, little shears or little mini scissors, but they're very, very handy to have when you have threads like this after you've finished sewing and you need to clean up the garment. So necessity, use them every single time I sew, so I think it's worth the investment. Okay. Sewing machine, needles, threads, pins, seam ripper, nippers. Also, in addition, kind of piggybacking off of threads, you need bobbins. Where'd I put my bobbins? Right here. Bobbins. This goes into the bottom portion of the sewing machine, and then your spool of thread goes up here at the top, like that. So I have all my bobbins. They come clear, plain with nothing on them, and then you wind them on the machine with the color that you're going to be using. So your top thread matches your bottom thread or whatever your needs are, okay? So bobbins are an absolute must to get the sewing machine to even work. So thread, needles, bobbins are a must for the sewing machine, okay? Forms of measurement. A graded ruler, okay, preferably with both metric measurements and customary measurements. A hip ruler for curves, and this is a holy grail flexible tape measure. You're going to need this when you're taking measurements on people, when you are doing custom garments and things like that, okay? And it's also helpful for measuring small little areas or areas where you need to measure like a curve of a neckline to know how long you need to cut something. You can measure it vertically like this. I don't know if you guys can see what I'm doing here, but let's say this is the neckline of a garment right here, this curve. Okay, you will put it vertical. Instead of laying it flat, you'll put it vertical and follow the shape so you know exactly how long you need something. These two handy dandy tools are definitely on the optional side, but I would say they're extremely helpful, especially this one. This is a gauge. I love how small and intricate it is. That helps me get very close to seam lines and helps me be a little bit more precise. So this miniature graded ruler and this gauge, I would put that on your shopping list, okay? Or at least on your must-buys sometime soon after you get started sewing. These two things I have here in my hand. I feel like Tyra Banks. This one is a disappearing marker, purple. Most of them are purple or light blue. You put it onto a fabric, within like a day it disappears on its own, but it helps you mark things and know where you need to pin, cut, etc. Or if you need to mark it the front and the back, if the fabric's really similar, you can't tell the difference, this is handy. And this is a disappearing white pen, I believe. So same function. There's also tailor's chalk. Okay, I have a whole box of this somewhere in here. This tailor's chalk is not steamable, meaning it will stay on the fabric. It kind of disappears with time, but there is tailor's chalk that removes with steam. So if you want to check that out, super helpful. They're all marking tools. Very, very helpful with accuracy and proper fabric placement. Okay, if you are one of those people who are a girly girl, who are here to make cute little strappy things for the summertime, you're making lots of spaghetti straps, lots of lace ups, and you need to make straps and ties and things like that, this is going to be your best friend. Okay, not the cylinder hole that you push in, that's a pain in the butt. It's called a loop turner. Okay, you sew two thin lines of fabric together, you hook this on, and when you hook it, it latches like a little crochet hook. but it's longer, very much more slender, so it can go through this tiny little narrow tubes you're going to be creating. You hook it on the end, and then you turn it right side out. It's very simple, very useful tool. I will later show you a trick of how you can do that same effect without using one of these, but this is a time saver. Second to last, surely not least, an iron. You do not need a professional grade steamer ever. Okay, maybe if you're working in an actual tailor's shop where you're going to be working with a lot of suiting material, but this will do just fine. Your standard iron, okay, that is able to steam, because you're going to need to iron out most of your seams unless you're working with knits and certain silks, but we'll talk about that later. Ironing, and steaming is so important for getting the garment to lay properly on your body, even if it's your right size. So, especially when you're working with darts and things like that. So, do not skip out on an iron. Most of us have one of these in our home already, but if not, this is on the need to invest in list. I hate saying invest because it does give you a return on your money. Hello, depending on how you're thinking about it. Maybe not literally the iron itself, but what the iron will do for your clothing and your future brand, your future wardrobe. It's worth the investment. Item. Woo! Can you see that? This is a rotary board. Okay? This is so important to me because I work in limited space. A lot of the times I'm sewing either upstairs on the table or in my room, unless I'm at work on our professional equipment. But this is so important to make sure I don't cut out of my sheets or scratch up my grandmother's table and scratch up any other tables and things like that. Rotary board will help you. So if you have an actual rotary cutter, it won't leave marks in the table. If you have scissors, things like that, you're not going to scuff up your furniture, F up your furniture, trying to cut your fabric and everything like that. So I would get one of these too. This one, I think I got it on sale at Joann's. Cost me like $30, but definitely helps. Gives me a little bit more of a stable and flat surface to work rather than cutting on my bed or cutting on something soft or anything like that. Okay, let's go over our list again. So we have sewing machine, check. Needles, check. Threads, check. Pins, check. Scissors, check. Okay, seam ripper, check. Disappearing pen or marking tools, check. Flexible tape measure, check. Braided ruler, check. Bobbins and bobbin cases, check. Nippers, check. Iron, check. Rotary cutter board, check. That is my basic overview of everything you will need to get started in your sewing journey. Not including all the fancy rinky-dink tools like an awl or a tailor's ham or a darning lob, whatever that's called. Don't need all that stuff just yet. If you have any questions about anything, let me know down in the comments. If you watch this video, please like it and drop your flag in the comments. If you're new here especially, I always love to know where my new subscribers are from. It just, I don't know, makes me feel international. Like, I'm helping people all over the world, which is what I would really love to do. Thank you guys again for returning to my channel. I hope to see you guys next week, next Friday. And a bientôt. Ciao.